Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Belief Cast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the BeliefCast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap & Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. The visionaries behind Thread wallets. These wallets redefine style and functionality. Dave Philippi from Micro Plus, pushing the boundaries of nanotechnology and scientific research to bring us cutting-edge supplements for optimal health. The Ralphs and the Debenhams, creators of Mori Nutrition and Calm. Because if you're struggling with sleep, feeling stressed, or can't focus, Calm is your answer. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode. And finally, Gab Wireless, letting kids be kids and giving parents the peace of mind they deserve. Right now, Gab is offering $25 off any device to new customers with no contract required. That's $25 off any Gab smartphone or smartwatch. Just go to gab.com/belief. That's where you'll get the best deal. That's gabb.com/belief. Thank you to all these amazing sponsors for supporting the BeliefCast podcast and empowering us to continue spreading positivity and inspiration to the world. Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Inspires BeliefCast. As always, I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in week after week. You guys have really made this podcast, if you will, a huge success. And it's not because of me, it's because of the amazing guests that I have on, and it's also because of your support. So thank you so much. And as was mentioned earlier, the sponsors, I'm so grateful for them and for the music by Paul Cardall that you're hearing at the beginning and end of this podcast. Thank you, my good friend Paul. You're the best. So we have an amazing person with a lot of energy. I really respect that. I love it. Her name is Carrie Hill. Carrie, thanks for being here.
Oh, Todd, thank you for having me. You have a lot of energy too. So this is going to be such a dynamic
I'm going to try and match your energy today. That's the goal.
Okay.
A little background on Carrie. She is the publicist, brand manager, content creator, and founder of Chill Consulting Agency, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when did you do that? When did that start?
Yeah, I love that. So officially became an LLC as of last year, but
Okay,
I've been doing
nice.
freelance work in this space for over 18 years. So I just kind of never branded it. And finally I decided, hey, I probably should put this into some organized formatting.
Right,
I'll create a company.
Yeah, no, I love that. You know, we're going to talk a lot about that here eventually, but what I'd like to do is have our listeners and followers get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
So tell us maybe a little bit about where you grew up and some things about your childhood.
Great. So I grew up in the military.
Okay.
I was born in South Carolina. And so anytime I talk, I always say, hey, y'all, you know, we have a nice little South Carolinian moment.
Yeah.
But I grew up all over the world. And so I spent the majority of my childhood in Germany.
Okay.
And that was an enchanted experience,
Wow.
truly. And
Yeah, I
so
can
we
imagine.
spent lots of hours romping in old castles and gardens, and it was I had a lovely childhood growing up.
Yeah, those castles back there are amazing. I've never been to Germany, but I've been to the Czech Republic, which is right on that border.
Yep.
But the castles they have there, and how did they build those?
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. The construction baffles me. But when you're a little kid, it's just magic. Everywhere is just magic, you know. And so you go off into your imagination, and there's so many spaces to explore.
Yeah.
That I felt really, really blessed looking back to have those kinds of opportunities, because so many kids don't have those opportunities. Right. And so for me, it really established who I was as a child. My parents were really imaginative people. My dad's a musician. My mom studied theater. And so we always had some sense of entertainment in our life, you know? And so it was, so those memories are really beautiful memories for me. And they really set the stage for me as an adult.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed this, that people who are raised that way, you know, theater and musicians and things like that, because you're a very confident person, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think, is it fair to say that because of those things that your parents were doing helped kind of bring that confidence out in you?
For sure. Yeah. Well, and I think just growing up in the military in general, you're never in one place for too long, you know? So I think the longest place that we lived was in Missouri. Of all the places we lived, Missouri was the one that we stayed at the longest, which I wish it had been not Missouri, but it was.
No offense to Missourians.
No offense to Missourians, but where we were at was really remote, and it was hard, you know, coming from the beauty and the experience of living overseas to come to, you know.
There's no more castles.
There's no more castles. Yeah, it was kind of a culture shock, which is funny because I'm an American. But, you know, living in Europe for most of my childhood life, I really became acclimated to that kind of life. And so moving to the U.S., back to the U.S. was a little bit of a shock. But back to the confidence, I think moving every couple of years puts you in a position to just have to make new friends, have to be open to new experiences. You know that nothing in your life is 100% stable except for your family. And wherever your family is where you are, you know?
Right.
And so I think that adds a lot to confidence building. And I would say for most Army brats, if we can still say that with that word, I think we're pretty confident, independent people because you just grow up that way.
Yeah, it reminds me of a quote by Israel Asandia that says, "We never know how strong we are until that hidden strength is kind of forced out of us."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you're almost forced I got to make new friends. We're in a new place. I got to get vulnerable.
Yes.
I got to put myself out there.
Every time.
And, you know, like even with me, you reached out to me, which was really cool. And that's a vulnerable thing to do. And you did it. And I love it.
Oh.
And just I just
thanks.
really admire your confidence. And that's why I wanted to see, where did that stem from and how did it cultivate through your lifetime?
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, I had really, not to get too deep, but I just want to give some background to my parents because
Please. Yeah. I'd love to hear.
My dad was a high school dropout, you know, back in the 70s, 60s, right? Early 70s. Yeah, he did. That's exactly. He dropped out so he could play music. And he played in a band called Shag. So
Really?
The long hair and the tuxedo shirts and the motorcycles, you know, all the things. And he wanted to pursue music. And he grew up in a home that was a broken home, if you will, right? Divorced parents, but had some abuse, a little bit physical, emotional abuse in that situation from his dad, and grew up with a single mom. And she worked as hard as she could to go to school to become a nurse, and then she was a nurse. So there was not a lot of home interaction. Okay. And so he had 3 brothers, and they basically raised themselves. Wow. And so when he met my mom had been through a similar circumstance. Her dad was physically abusive, and her mom was divorced. And so the reason I share this with you is twofold. Number one, being drafted into the military after my mom and dad met and got married was the best thing that ever happened to my dad. It gave him structure. Sure. It gave him focus and purpose. And so when he and my mom came together, they literally said, "We will not repeat this cycle." And they didn't. They were the links that broke the cycle and started something new. And so when I look back at my childhood and we talk about confidence and vulnerability and bravery, to stop a cycle of abuse from both people takes a huge amount of courage and vulnerability and dedication and commitment. And just stating earlier that my childhood was so magical, I credit all of the confidence that I have and the independence and the love and the vulnerability and the bravery to my parents for instilling that in us simply through their example of being strong, independent people that were really committed to creating something new for their future. And I just find so much, people say, who's your heroes? These are my heroes.
Wow.
My parents are my heroes
Sure.
because they gave this gift to us. And because of that, even though 2 of their children are also divorced,
Well, that happens sometimes. That's okay.
Yeah, but I think the beautiful thing about that is that we were confident enough to recognize in our own relationship situation, what was healthy and what wasn't.
Yes.
And so I was really grateful for that support and for their, just for their commitment to allowing us to make our own decisions. They would never push religion. They didn't push a direction in life. They just were very much, we will raise you and you will decide for yourself what you're going to do.
That's pretty rare. Yeah. That is so rare. I can see why they're your heroes. For them to make the decision that we're going to stop the unhealthiness moving forward. We're not going to pass that along. I mean, that affects generations. Yeah. Yes. That's amazing.
Yes. And it's funny, I was having this conversation with my dad and he said, my mom had a lifelong friend who passed away from cancer, and he was a recovering alcoholic. And he dedicated his life to Alcoholics Anonymous. And when he passed, he was a big Harley guy, music guy, right? And when he passed, there were like 400 people at his funeral that he had touched, over the course of his life. And my dad said to me, it makes me wonder what I've been doing with my life to sit in that space and see how many people that person touched. And I said, Dad, you have touched exactly the amount of people that you need to affect. And you have changed the course of your children's lives and their children and their children. And so, I think it's interesting when we think about impact and we compare, right? Comparison will kill that. The beauty of what you are doing, right? And so I just to have a chance to bring my dad full circle back to saying, no, let's sit in a space of recognizing the things that you have done and how many people you have and will continue to touch simply because you made a different choice. Yeah. So
Well, it sounds like there's many lessons you've learned from your parents growing up. We talked about the confidence piece, impacting people. Is there another thing that stands out to you, like this is another big lesson I learned from my parents?
Yeah, I think empathy. Empathy is a hard emotion to understand.
Right?
It's right. For me anyway, I think my dad is a very empathetic person. My mom was let me back up. What I learned from my mom was, oh, did you fall down on the sidewalk? Well, did you hurt the sidewalk? Okay, let's go. Right? Like there wasn't a lot of sitting in a space to feel bad about yourself. It was like, yeah, you fell down. Oh, that stinks.
You're
let's
good.
go.
Let's go. Yeah.
And to counter that was my dad which was more like, oh, did you hurt yourself? I know that must have hurt so badly. Like, how can I help you? And so pulling from both of these personalities, I think I learned, number one, grit. You just get up and you do.
Love that.
And then from my dad, how to extend your heart, how to expand your heart to other people's circumstances and where they are in their life. And between those two things, I'm me.
Yeah. No, I love that. There's a fine line there, right? Because to have empathy, but at the same time also have that grit and not to wallow in difficulties. I think there's that fine line, and empathy is one of those things where, I'm putting myself in your shoes and I can feel what you're feeling. Yeah. Like you're struggling, I can feel that struggle because one, I've been there, and two, I totally get it, and I'm here to help you. But I think it's the grit that pulls us out of that at times with someone who's struggling, right?
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I think I said earlier, that empathy is an interesting thing and it's a hard emotion because you do have to, it's time consuming. Right. We're in a very fast-paced society. We don't really want to sit in a space where we can feel somebody else's experience and lean into it. And so I appreciate that as I've gotten older. I mean, I'm only 25, so I can't be that old, you know. She says in her word bubble.
Yeah.
But
we'll take it.
Yeah, but I think as I've gotten older, empathy and had more life experience and gone through my own experiences, it is incredible how much your heart can soften and it can open up so that you make time to sit in a space with somebody else and feel what they feel. And there's so much value in that. And I think prior to some of the things that I have been through in my life, and probably similar to anybody that's listening, you, because of the grit piece of me, it's been, empathy is hard, a little harder, right? Because I'm like, I don't want to sit here. And, you know, Brene Brown talks about sitting in the empathy in the hole, right? Just going down to the hole and sitting with the person. And I used to watch that video and think, and how long are we supposed to sit in the hole, you know, with the person? Like the impatience of this hole is driving me crazy. And I think just over time, you do understand what it feels like to be in that hole yourself. And so your heart can expand a little bit more.
Yeah. How long do you stay there? That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, and there's a line between empathy and enablement.
Sure.
You know, and I think anybody that's in recovery understands, and their support system understands, there's definitely a very thin line between empathy and enablement. And sometimes you cross over and you don't realize it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's a juggling act at times, but it's so critical. Both of them are both needed. Right. Absolutely. So, you know, let's jump ahead a little bit. You know, you go to school. Did you end up going to college after high school? What did you end up doing once you got through all that?
I did. Yeah. I went to Eastern Arizona University for a little bit on a theater arts scholarship. Nice. And then I spent some time at BYU, and then I decided to go on a mission for the LDS Church. And so I went on a mission, and then I came home, and I actually decided, this is so fun, you'll love this. I decided that I was going to work in our nation's capital.
Oh, wow.
No particular reason, just really thought it would be cool.
Really?
And so
interesting.
I had a friend who worked there, and I thought I want to work there. That seems really like an amazing opportunity. And so I worked for a few months. My family was living in Belgium at the time, and I worked in Belgium after my mission for a little while, and I moved to DC. Just bought a plane ticket, went to DC, found someone's couch to crash on for a little while, and every day I called Senator Hatch's office every day and talked to David, the office manager, and said, I'm interested in working for the senator. Do you have any jobs open? 3 months every day I did this.
Wow.
Right?
That's amazing.
And I worked temporary jobs, and I got to know the bus drivers really well because I didn't have any money, and they let me ride for free in the back of the bus where I needed to go to get to work. And I actually had one bus driver who we became good friends. And when it was time for me to leave and move to Utah, I actually paid him all the bus fare that I owed.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so he was awesome. But that whole experience was so incredible. So after 3 months of navigating life in Washington, D.C., making temp job money, David finally said, oh my goodness, just come in for an interview. Like, I don't know where we're going to put you, but you are so persistent that you must really want this. So come in. Wow. So I went to Bubbles Salon on G Street and got my A-line Spice Girls haircut. Yeah. And I got my plum suit from Nordstrom Rack, and you will love this, the only pair of heels that I had was a disco silver huge platform shoe that I bought to go dancing with my friend. Those are the only heels that I had. Wow. And so I'm walking around DC to go to the interview in our nation's capital with my A-line Spice Girls haircut and my silver disco shoes. And I was like, I am going to get this job.
Wow.
And so I show up, the long conference table, and we're sitting there, and it's kind of dark a little bit. Yeah. And, David said, Carrie, why do you want to work here? And I said, David, I just spent $99 on a haircut and I have no money to pay for my rent. So I have to have this job.
Yeah.
I need it. Whatever it is, I'll take it. But I want to work in our nation's capital. And he said, great. We actually have somebody in the front office that's leaving. I'll put you there.
Wow.
And so I ended up working there for a year. And, and I met all kinds of people. Like I met Richard Branson and Janet Reno. Remember Janet Reno?
I remember Janet, yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
And Billy Joel. And I mean, it was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And, one that I'll always treasure.
This again highlights your confidence. It highlights, because of your upbringing, moving around, having to put yourself out there and get vulnerable. It was basically training you for you to go do that. And then you're like, I'm not leaving until I get this job.
Yeah.
The persistence.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that was cultivated based on what you've shared already with your upbringing.
For sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and youth, right? Like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. A little ignorance at times.
That's right. It's
I
a
don't
blessing.
know what's going on.
It's a gift. Like, what do you mean I can't just walk in and get a job at the Capitol?
I had this really cool girl on my podcast, Kelly Davis, and similar story. She always wanted to work for the Denver Broncos. Would reach out to them, nothing. She's like, I'm driving to their corporate headquarters.
That's awesome.
Drove to the corporate headquarters, and she's like, I am not leaving until I get a job. Walked in, said, I'm here for an interview. And they said, well, with who? And she goes, I don't know, but I'm not leaving.
Amazing. I think I need to know her.
And she got the job.
Awesome.
And then, a week or two later, she's in the sports suite at the Mile High Stadium, standing next to John Elway and the owner of the Denver Broncos, watching the football game, going, here I am. But I love that, because just go make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what you were doing.
Well,
I'm going to make it happen.
And there's some beauty. Like we just talked about, like being a little ignorant, but there is some beauty in being naive.
Sure.
So let me come full circle with this, back to what I'm doing right now, because you don't know what you don't know, and that's the truth. And so sometimes you want to stay in that space, because you can get really jaded if you start asking for other people's opinions and thoughts and input. True. All of a sudden what you were really passionate about, now you're not so sure of, and you're second guessing it. And maybe it's not the best thing because so-and-so expert said, maybe this isn't the best thing. You know what I mean? And so I think there's a little bit of beauty in just putting your head down and saying, I don't need anybody else's input in this moment. I just need to do this thing.
Yeah.
And just do it, and see what happens. Like the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work out.
Right.
Great. Okay. Well, then you pivot and we figure out something different. Right. So when I got married, I was 23, and it's so interesting. I just spoke about this earlier this week, but my greatest fear, Todd, was that I would be the sole provider of my family. That was my greatest fear.
Wow.
Right. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. It wasn't like we didn't have any money, right? We grew up in the military, but my dad was I think we made $32,000 a year in the military. I mean, you have your housing paid for and you have some of those things paid for, but $32,000 for many years while I was growing up is, for a family of 6 people, is nothing,
right.
And so we had nothing. We had the military, and we went wherever they told us and lived wherever they told us to live. And that's what we did. And so I got used to going to thrift stores and cutting out Guess, little patches to sew on my Walmart jeans. So I could be cool in my sophomore and junior year. But yeah, so I got married when I was 23, and I was so concerned that he was on a track to study finances, and we were focused on him finishing school because it's what we agreed to do, right? And so the blueprint of our family was very much, I work and I'll support him until we decide to start a family, and then I'm going to dedicate and commit myself to being in that space with my kids. So I always carried that fear around with me, that I would somehow be the sole provider of my family. And how was I going to do that?
Yeah.
I didn't finish school because I had a family, like so many women, especially in the state of Utah, right?
Happens.
And I had moved back here, and we were living here at the time. And so I really, when I had my children, I worked until I had my daughter. And I really felt compelled that I needed to be a contributing source of income somehow. And so I nannied, I did whatever I could do to help my spouse not feel so overwhelmed with the burden of caring for our family. Right. And one time I came out to Utah after my third child, and I put this baby wrap on. And one of my friends had it, and she said, "Oh, you should try this. It's so great." And I tried it, and I loved it. It saved my life, you know? And I thought, oh my gosh, how do I get involved with this company? And so when I went back east, because we had moved from Utah to Virginia, when we went back east, I called the company and said, "I love this product. I want to sell it for you. Do you have a retail manager out here on the East Coast?" And they said no. And I said, "Well, let me try it." Right. Yeah. So I started to bring in some income that way through the sale of this product. But I hit a wall, and I realized I need to tell a story about this product for people to be interested in it. And so I started just crafting narratives about why baby wearing was important and how wraps could help and blah, blah, blah. And pretty soon, back in the day, it was media interviews, right? So like actual magazines and newspapers, you know, there was like 2 blogs on the Google, you know? And so I eventually just found my way into some publications, and the Washington Post did a feature on baby wearing with me at a show. Wow. And, you know, it became a real thing. And one thing turned into another. And I encountered a public relations company that was doing some celebrity gifting. And I said, "Oh, let me partner with you." And then I worked for them for a little bit. Right. And then one thing led to another. And it was just me offering services. And people found me and said, "Oh, I heard that you do this. I would love for you to help me with my book, or help me with my new album that's coming out, or help me with my new podcast," which was brand new on the market at the time, you know? And so, so one thing just led to another. And over time I had 35 clients that I maintained, up until I needed to go back to work full time. And so what I learned from this experience, and what I try to share with other people when I talk, is that your soft skills are marketable skills. You just don't know it yet. Right. And so having a little bit of going back to that naivety of not knowing that I couldn't just do that. Right. And then somebody said, "Well, what is it that you do?" And I said, "Oh, I help people get on TV and get on the radio." And they said, "Oh, you do public relations?" "Totally. Yes, I do that." Let me Google that thing. Right. Like, yes, I am that.
That's me.
That's me. And so I think a lot of times if I had reservations, or if I had gone to other people and said, "Do you think this is a thing that I should do? Or do you think I can do that?" And I'd gone to industry professionals, they would say, "Yeah, sure. If you follow this path, you can do those things." Right. And I just kind of skipped jail and went on the Monopoly board. Right. Yeah. So it was, so then, those skills that were soft skills actually had to transfer into a hard resume at some point in my marriage. And I needed that to be able to put myself back into the workforce. And so, yeah.
I love that. Go get him. I love it.
Yeah.
Again, the way you carry yourself is awesome. I think it's so great. Obviously, you know, everyone goes through challenges in life. There's crises sometimes. What are some of the biggest challenges you've gone through? You mentioned divorce, that kind of thing. What stands out, and how did you handle those things? How did you get through them?
Yeah, thanks, Todd. I love that question. Well, I will say that I think being resilient is a process, and every single circumstance that you need to bounce back from is a little bit different. And so your mechanism for becoming resilient in those circumstances changes a little bit. And so resilience is not a linear journey, right? It's something we're continuously fine-tuning and crafting. And so for me, I think one of the biggest challenge that I was presented with was related to my divorce. And that was trying to navigate my spouse's unaddressed mental health challenge, which is real, Mental health challenges are real, and they do have a domino cascading effect if they are left unaddressed. And for me, the unaddressed component was not just emotional, but it also had a financial component to it. And so as we were trying to navigate whatever the challenges were that he was going through, we were also losing income and opportunity and, and again, going back to that worst fear, right? Initially being married, that I would have to be the sole provider of my family at some point down the road. And here I am down the road. Right. So we want to talk about manifesting. Like I don't know how I feel about that, but but it was a fear for a reason. I believe it was like a little warning that said, just watch the stepping stones that I give you over these years. So when you get to that place, you have some skills that you can leverage. And so I look back and I really see a divine hand in creating that path for me, because had I not engaged in cultivating a path for myself that could help contribute financially, Todd, I don't know that I would have been able to get a job that was sustainable at that time. I mean, so that for me, it's a 3-part question. One is navigating mental health was a challenge in and of itself. Sure. Somebody else's mental health, right? Because now I'm having a secondhand depression because I don't know how to navigate this, right? And so I'm learning with my kids, I'm learning with my spouse, and trying to educate him while educating myself and my kids, and navigate these nuanced experiences, and that in and of itself is a whole journey. And then you compound that with the responsibilities and the commitments that come from being a full-time mom, an engaged, full-time committed mom, which I was. And that's a full-time job.
For sure, right?
And I will say, for all the moms out there that stay at home, thank you for your work. Sure. It is work to do that, and you're raising the next generation of humans, and it's not a small feat. So I think I hate when people ask stay-at-home moms, do you work? I'm like, people used to ask me that, and I said, yes, I'm the CEO of a nonprofit. That's what I am.
Like a real nonprofit.
Like a real nonprofit.
There's no profit.
They don't even say thank you. And so, so I just want to pause here, because I think those comments speak to how much dedication I wanted to give in that realm. And then, kind of the third piece of this is navigating. Now we're out of financial floor. We've exhausted every resource. At the time, we owed taxes. There was some credit card debt. I mean, we had nothing, and we were about $300 away from hitting the floor. Jeez. When I said to my spouse, are you going back to work? And he said, no, you'll figure something out. And so that piece of the story, I think, speaks heavily to the state of mind that he was in. Yeah. And so knowing that that's where we were on the spectrum, I said, okay. So you asked earlier, like, what are some of the bigger milestone kind of moments that, challenging moments that you've been through? This was a pivotal milestone moment in my journey, where it was clear that I was on my own in that space. Wow. And so me and Wonder Woman, we had a close bond during this time. So, I think being resilient through those challenges is number one on the mental health side of things. Educating myself was hyper important in this space. Rather than sit in a place of panic, which I did a fair amount of as well, let me just learn about what all of these mental health struggles are, because I don't know. And so what I don't know causes more panic, right? So let me learn about this, and let me educate my children along the ways, because we're all experiencing this at the same time. And the education piece for me was vital in the resiliency of that experience, because I knew then that if I could educate, I could come up with a plan. And if I could come up with a plan and we could act as a partnership, we could navigate that together. Now, obviously, the relationship ended in a divorce, because it takes two people to show up in that space.
For sure.
And so what I was grateful for is to have enough knowledge and to have tried long enough to know when it was time to make a change, a healthy change for me and for the kids. And then knowing this financial piece, that I was really on my own in this financial piece, it seemed a natural progression to say, I think we've reached a crossroads. And if I'm going to do this on my own, I might as well do this on my own.
Yeah.
You know? And so I simply just said, I need for you to get healthy. I would appreciate if you would live with your family so that you could have the opportunity to not worry about this financial stress and take care of yourself. And I will consume all of the responsibility. Because at that time, Todd, half of nothing is nothing. You just,
right.
You just want people to get well at that point, right?
At that point, yeah, for sure.
and so that's where we parted. And so the resiliency for me came in the grit.
Yeah.
It came in the work.
Yep. And
I think, you mentioned earlier, just kind of sitting miring in that space of like, oh, what do I do? And which we can all do. And there's a place for that. And it's okay to do that,
sure.
right? To sit there for a little bit and feel what you're feeling.
Yep.
But at some point, it is the work that is going to get you out of that space. And so for me, it was putting together a plan. What am I going to do now? Here I am by myself, committed, dedicated mom. There's an emotional separation that has to happen now because I've got to put some masculine energy into my life and take on this role. And so how do I navigate that? And how do I find a job? And how do I create a resume? And how do I don't even know what workforce dynamics are anymore, right? Like, I don't even know, how do I navigate 401k health? This is nothing, I just need a job to pay my bills.
Yeah.
That's what I need, right? And so it was a distraction to be actively engaged in a solution. It was a huge distraction, and it was a massive part of the resilience that I've experienced. And so that was a really long answer to your question.
No, it's beautiful.
But I hope that was helpful.
No, very helpful. The details are great. Thank you. Again, I love what you said, because it's putting in the work, which creates resilience.
Yeah.
You don't just get resilience. You have to, it hurts sometimes.
Yes, it does.
It's uncomfortable. I can only imagine that feeling of I'm taking on everything now. I'm on my own.
Yeah.
That had to have been a really heavy time for you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you kept pushing forward, obviously, and the resilience you've created in yourself because of that, it probably feels pretty good when you look back on that.
It does feel good.
Do you agree with this statement, life happens for you?
I don't know. That's the truth. I really don't know. It depends on the day.
And the reason why I bring that up is because I think it does, in my opinion, and here's why. I think going back in your story, again, bouncing around from, being a military brat and just having to make friends and get vulnerable. It just seems like it taught you and prepared you for all the stuff you've gone through. So, and then you get more resilient each time you've gone through something. You went and got the job at the nation's capital. You made that happen. You saw that this marriage wasn't going in the direction it needed to, and you were on your own, a lot of it. And you're like, okay, I'm on my own now. And yet you push through it, and here you are today even, and you've got your own company now, and you're really passionate about what you do, and you carry yourself so well.
Oh.
And I don't think you would be this way had you not gone through all that.
Yeah.
That's why I say that. And and again, not to say that, when people are getting abused or hurt or punished, that, okay, this is happening for you. But there's a part of me that says, well, maybe it is, because it's going to make you 10 times stronger because of it. I don't know.
Yeah. I think for me, Todd, it is, this is I'm so happy that you brought this up, because it is something that I think when you are in the throes of it, it's really hard to sit in that space and say, life is happening for me. Right? Like, no, that's not it.
Like,
I'm not,
you, don't tell me that.
That's right. Like, I hate life, and I think I I go back and forth between this happened for a reason and I made the reason it happened.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think sometimes it gives great comfort as humans to find a meaning to what it is that you're experiencing. Yeah. There isn't always an answer. There's no reason that somebody should be in an abusive situation. There's no explanation that makes that okay. You know, I mean,
sure.
and I'm going to the extreme, but I'm just saying in that space,
and I'm with you on that.
There's no, and so sometimes you have to, when you come out of that space, and I don't know that you ever come out of it, but when you are in a place where you can sit with it, that happened to you, then the question becomes, well, now what do I do with it? Right. And so life happened. This happened.
Yep.
And it is up to me to figure out what I'm going to do with it. But there is an enormous amount of comfort, like I mentioned earlier, in holding on to the idea that this happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And when you take that out of the equation, wow, life feels really hopeless.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
And so I think the story, the narratives that we tell ourselves to help us hang on in those really dark moments are really significant. And I never think we should minimize whatever you have to tell yourself to pull yourself out of that space. That's your thing.
For sure.
I support you in that, right? Because I want you to succeed on the other side.
Well, I appreciate your honest answer with that question. I appreciate that. It was really well said. And again, it's a very good perspective for not only, I love hearing your perspective, and I'm sure our listeners like, hey, that was really profound. So let's jump forward a little bit. Let's talk about, Chill Consulting Agency.
Yeah.
What is that? And explain to our listeners what you do exactly.
Okay. I love that. So as we heard, my professional path was a little backwards.
That's okay.
When I put my resume together, and this is a key part of the message that I share for single moms with my work in Empowered, which I'm sure we'll get to in just a minute. But the resume building, the part of understanding who you are and the skills that you've amassed over the time that you've been a stay-at-home mom is really important in this story, in many women's stories.
For sure.
And so, when I put the resume together, I did hundreds of iterations of my resume to see like who I actually was at this point in my life. Yeah. And so about almost 7 years ago, I went and interviewed for Neater's Bakery and Cafe.
Okay.
And I had been on hundreds of jobs. I was on, I don't want to say hundreds of job interviews, but a lot of job interviews. Felt like hundreds.
Yeah, right.
And I was on welfare at the time that I was looking for a job. And that was in and of itself an experience to understand more about that system and how people really do get trapped in that system and the reasons that they do. And so, so that journey for me was really humbling and extremely eye-opening. And I was experiencing all these things at the same time, figuring out who I was professionally, navigating the welfare system, trying to navigate a spouse's unaddressed mental health and figure out how I was going to pay the rent that month. Right. I mean, so there was a lot of things happening about 7 years ago. And finally, after about 6 months, I went in and interviewed for Neater's and had a great interview, and they hired me as their public relations manager. Yeah. And I worked for them for 2 years, and it was amazing. And I will forever be grateful to Neater's and their family for hiring me, because they changed my life.
Wow.
And
That's
so I got some fabulous experience working with Neater's, and I was able to put all of that freelance creative energy into helping them with one of their Hope Fights childhood cancer campaigns. Yeah. And it was just a great experience. It was fun, and I gained 10.5 pounds eating all the bread, It was amazing.
It'd be hard not to eat that stuff.
They were like R&D day and everybody lines up, So, but from there, I worked for Crucial Learning, which was Vital Smarts at the time. So I know you're familiar with the Other Side Academy and Joseph Grunny. And so working in that space was also an incredible experience, because I needed the skills of the Crucial Communications suite of products for me to navigate my divorce. And I didn't know that. when I got the job.
Yeah.
And immense love and appreciation for that organization. They're just, all the people are top-notch quality people that work there. And it was a huge gift, again, for me to learn another skill set in a different way. And so I manage their community, their 16,000 global community of trainers, online on Facebook. And it was amazing. I loved it.
That's
awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
And so then I moved into a different job, which was clinical research. And you think clinical research, but the most fascinating, because here, Todd, is something interesting. I have Neaters, which changed my life initially. Right. I was able to work at Crucial Learning, which gave me a whole nother subset of skills. Sure. And when I moved into clinical research, it was focused on central nervous system research, mental health. So all along the way, I am just learning these skills that I desperately need.
We got a little music playing
to navigate. I love that. Yeah. Let's just sit in this moment.
And that was my fault. But we're going to just let it go because that was Paul Cardall right there.
I love Paul Cardall.
Just a little reminder. Anyway, continue.
No, I was just saying it was just interesting that I was able to be in these spaces that were integral to the success of where I was at. So last year, the Clinical Research Network, which I also loved working for, and I managed 19 of their like the social media for 19 of their locations. Yeah. Anyway, they had layoffs along with 45% of the nation, I feel like. Yeah. And then I was in a space where I thought, now who am I?
Yeah.
Right? I've been in this corporate space now, and now who am I? And so I gave myself a little pause, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go back to contracting, but I want an actual business. The vision is that I have a full agency that helps individuals personally brand themselves, navigate their product, campaigns, do kind of cool nonprofit stuff. Like I just want to do all of it, Yeah. And so I set up Chill Consulting Agency. Now here is the coolest thing about, and I have continued. I've had contract work, for over the past year, and in fact, right now I'm doing some work for Supriya, which is an incredible foundation doing amazing things.
Yeah, I've done some research on them since you referred me to them in that direction, but they're doing amazing things.
Yeah, they're an amazing company right here in Utah, and I feel really humbled to be able to be part of their mission.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's so I'm doing some work with them, and I lost my train of thought. So last year when I decided to create this company, I put an intention on my LinkedIn profile. And it said, I work with women in trauma, children in need, and mental health / veterans. All things that are really important to me, right? Yeah. And I just said, I'm just going to put this out here. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Why not? Let's experiment with who I am.
Let's do it.
And so I went to a networking event at Tribe House, the first one that I'd been to. And you go around and you say who you are and what you do. And so the gentleman that was sitting across from me, his name is Terry Lyman, another outstanding human being. And he said, hey, you work with women. I want to talk to you. I have a thought. And so we connected after, and he said, I went through a rough financial situation with my divorce. And I really would like to create a program to help women get back into the workforce. And I said, that is the same exact dream that I had when I vowed, almost at that point, like 5 years ago, that if I could get back on my feet, I would help other women bridge this gap between poverty and sustainability.
Sure. Yeah.
And I said, we're talking the same language. Let's talk. Yeah. And so we sat down, and within an hour and a half, we had kind of wireframed out this program called Empowered. And it's an 8-week course that teaches fluid skills like Canva, HubSpot, Google Suite, right? For fluid skills that you can put on a resume that are marketable anywhere that you go.
Yeah.
And then the business model is to work with businesses who are willing to help us solve a divorce-driven poverty socioeconomic struggle within our communities.
Yeah.
And single moms, surprisingly, are the largest pool on a state's economy.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The welfare that is pulled out of our system to support single moms is the largest pool. So this is a problem that is, I think everybody wants to solve. We want to help. We want to see moms succeed, and we want to stop generational poverty in that circumstance. And so under the Chill Consulting umbrella is this kind of pet project that I'm working on. But
I love it.
The Chill Consulting space is really, it's PR focused, and it's really more about strategic collaborations and partnerships, creatively thinking about how to maximize what you're already doing into bigger spaces. And then the media component of that is also, something that I focus on. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Doing good things, right?
Thank you. I feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I love that you've found some passion in helping those that need help, right? Again, because you've been through it yourself, right?
Yeah.
Again, happened for you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like how you're working that in there, though.
I'm working it in. There's a little jab
You're like,
for
I will
you.
convert you by the end of this,
I'm going to convert you, sister. No, but I love it. I love what you're doing. What's on the docket? What's in the future for you? What do you have big plans? Is there something you could share with us that you're working on, or where do you see yourself maybe in the next year or two?
Yeah. Well, I always say that I see myself with George Clooney, but he never calls me. It's so frustrating.
Well, we're good friends. I'll give him your number.
That would be amazing.
Okay,
Good.
you got it.
I just need them all to, step aside.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be beautiful and a human rights lawyer.
Maybe, I don't know.
Power couple.
Yeah.
Anyway, goals. #goals.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, my primary focus is really in helping other women that are in my circumstances. Like that is my passion.
That's passion. Yeah.
In terms of growing the business, I'm always looking for amazing people to work with.
Have you ever heard of Katie Bunnell?
Yes, Katie and I have talked.
Okay,
yes, we're friends.
Live Your Dream Foundation.
Yes, she's amazing.
I know her really well. I support her golf tournament every year.
Yes, that's great.
I donate to her cause.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, you guys need to link up, but it sounds like you already have, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
She's doing great things out there, similar to what you're doing as well. So,
do you know, Todd, something that I spoke earlier this week, I mentioned that, and but this particular experience was really impactful for me. It was with a group of women who are realtors, and wow, to hear their personal experiences after I spoke and they shared those things with me, my heart was so tenderized by these experiences, because what I saw was a room full of women who are trying their best to become resilient after deep pain, and abandonment and abuse and struggle. And all I could think of was, please quit hurting our women. Men, please quit hurting our women. We are beautiful, precious things. And for the most part, generally speaking, we want to be good moms, good wives, good partners, good people in the world, And so I love all of these incredible organizations like Katie's and, People Helping People. I mean, any organization that is in the world trying to elevate the profile for women who are also moms, I have a deep respect for. And I just want to reiterate that there is a massive need to uplift our women, because we are the heartbeat of society. When we stop enabling our women to nurture society, we start to lose a really beautiful piece of life as a holistic, commentary. We have to take care of each other, and we have to take care of our women. Yeah. And in doing so, we take care of the children that we create and that we hope will be the next generation of leaders moving forward. And so there's a lot of really harsh circumstances out there in divorce, outside of divorce, in marriage, where women are experiencing all kinds of forms of abuse. Yeah. And my plea to the world and to the men in the world is, please stop hurting our women.
Yeah.
Right? We need strong, beautiful men
Yep.
to show up in their vulnerability, in their masculinity, in their love and their empathy and their compassion.
Yeah.
We need you
Yeah.
in our lives, right? And I think there's a lot of unrest right now around men trying to find their place in the world a little bit.
Sure.
And women just naturally kind of elevating themselves and each other. And I think all that we want to see in the world, at least I do, is just that we all rise together, that we all find our place in the world together as couples, as people. There's not this you're less than I am because of the gender dynamic, you know. It's like, no, we are at a place in our society right now where we don't have time for that. We all need to be elevating each other as people. And so that would be my biggest plea. Like, men, elevate your women elevate your women and your children, and together we elevate.
Yeah. Beautifully said.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. If there's someone listening to your voice right now that's in a dark place, and you've already said some really beautiful things today, but what would you say to that one person right now that's just listening to this and they are struggling? What would you tell that person?
You're going to make me cry. I would say that I am struggling too. Your title is your title. It doesn't say anything about who you are and what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
And you're not alone. And there are resources and there are people in the world that are aching to help and want to help you.
Yeah.
And I would beg and plead of you to please not give up. And don't let your light, your beautiful light, be snuffed out by fear or pain. Tap into your grit. Tap into your heart, tap into the resilience. Anything that gets you through this, you will get through it.
Yeah.
And it will be okay on the other side.
Wow. Beautifully said. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And I felt the emotion there as well. I appreciate that so much. And we all have something we're wrestling with, and we need each other, and we need to support each other, and we need to be strong and show up for each other. I love that. What a beautiful message. If there's someone that wants to reach out to you and get to know you better and, you know, learn more about, you know, your company, and then also Empowered, and then maybe even hire you to come speak.
Yes.
I know you want to do more of that.
I do.
And you'd be really great at it, obviously.
Thanks.
What would be the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just Chill Consulting Agency. Okay. The name associated is Carrie H. So you can find me really easily there. My portfolio website is linked on my profile, and so you can take a look at that. But yeah, you can send me a message. You can email me at carriehillpr@gmail.com.
Okay.
You can call me. I'm not going to give my number, but if you reach out to me, I will give you my number.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah.
Well, and I'll put those links in the show notes too.
That would be great. So, Todd, I wanted to share too. I have just finished my ebook.
Oh, okay.
It's brand new. I shared it with the group that I spoke with earlier this week, and I shared it with Mary Crafts. So you two are the only people.
Mary, shout out to Mary.
Shout out to Mary. She's amazing.
Isn't she?
She is.
That woman.
She's awesome.
Every time you talk to her, you feel like you're $1 million.
Totally.
Right?
Yes. Do you know, I love that. She gives you her full attention. She is present with you. It's brilliant.
She's one of the best. That's cool that we know some mutual people.
Yes,
too.
Agreed. So she's awesome. So it's the book is called Empowered, and it's 37 pages of a little bit of my story, the action plan that I leverage to navigate my own spouse's mental health journey, and then a checklist of things that if you are preparing to make an exit, like please do so with a strategy. Sure. Don't just walk out the door and hope that things work out, you know.
Good luck.
And then it also has resources for other community organizations that are helping women in different ways. Live Your Dream is included in this as an option.
Sure.
So it's free right now. It will go through, I'm sure, a couple of iterations, but I'm offering it free because I've had so many women reach out and ask for a resource. And so that is, I'll make sure that I give you the link so that you can share that.
Yes, that's great. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Didn't that feel good?
It did feel good.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great interview, and what a great time to get to know you better. And I'm so grateful that we've connected, and the things you've shared today have inspired me, to be completely honest. And I know that people listening to this will get something from you. And I love the way you show up in life, and I look at all the stuff you've been through, and it's so great to see you out there being a light for other people.
Thank you so much, Todd. I would say the same thing about you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it means a lot. Thank you so much. Well, there you go, folks. Carrie Hill, guys. And I've got the links in the show notes. Please reach out to her, learn more about her, get her ebook, all that fun stuff. Boy, I told you guys we're in for a good one today, and it did not disappoint at all. Please share this with your family and friends. Please reach out to those that you know are struggling. Send them a link to this episode. Carrie will uplift them and help them see things maybe a little bit better and what they're going through. So love you guys. Again, thanks to all my sponsors. I love you for your support. Until next time, everyone. Thank you, everybody. See you, Carrie.
Thanks.